Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is Eva Rawposa from uncooking101.com, and this is your resource for easy, no bake living. So today we have another so easy anyone can do it kind of recipe, which is an old-time favorite. It's pasta with marinara sauce. Now you might be wondering how in the world we're going to be making pasta, which is not raw. And my honest answer to that is that we're not really. We're going to be making a pasta substitute, which is going to look like pasta. It's going to feel like pasta, but it's not going to have, the gluten and all the issues that pasta can cause for different people. And it's also going to be filling, but it's not going to make you feel bloated, which is just so many reasons that this pasta is the best pasta you can make. But we're going to be using zucchini. And I know it might seem, if you haven't made this before, that zucchini is not your ideal vegetable or food to make pasta, but you're going to see that it is just fabulous. Alright, so we've got our zucchini here, and then we're going to be making the marinara sauce without cooking it on the stove. So, let's see, we have several ingredients for that. We've got garlic, make it nice and spicy. We've got some sun-dried tomatoes, which has been soaking. We've got some dates, which have been soaking. We've got some Himalayan sea salt. Any sea salt will work if you don't have that on hand. We have some cayenne, give it some extra spice. We've got some cold pressed olive oil. We've got some parsley, which is optional, but I do prefer it. And we've got some tomatoes. Alright, so now, what else? I guess that's everything. That's it. That's all you need. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start out with the pasta. So in terms of tools, what we're going to need for the pasta, your absolute minimum requirement is a vegetable peeler. That's it, just a vegetable peeler. Now, the vegetable peeler doesn't make the ideal pasta. I prefer to use either the Mandoline, that's my favorite, or to use a spiral slicer. Now, if you don't have one of those two options, I'm going to show you first what you can do, because your absolute minimum requirement, again, is the vegetable peeler. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and peel the zucchini. Now, it might on the surface seem really wasteful, but in fact it is not. I have something that's basically called my soup bowl. That's what I like to call it. Here, I'm going to use this one. This is my soup bowl. What I put in it, and it has a lid, it's a little metal container I got, and anything I have that I don't use because it's not pretty or whatever, I just put it in my soup bowl, and everything in there is later going to just go into any old blender or my Vitamix to make a soup. Because when you're pulverizing everything, it doesn't really matter if it's pretty. So, we are going to use it, just not right now for this. Alright, so I'll go ahead and peel my zucchini. So we have got this completely peeled. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and just make more slices. Alright. So now, we're going to take these long, thin slices. I'm just going to stack them up together. I'm just stacking them up because I would be sitting here for more time than I would care to spend if I were to slice them all separately. So what I'm doing is I'm just stacking them up. If you stack them too high, they won't slice. I'll just sharpen the knife. Okay. Every time you use the knife, you should sharpen it. Every single time. Because what happens when you're sharpening is it's kind of like when you use the knife, it's moving all these teeny tiny little sort of, I don't know what they're called, but all these teeny little pieces that you can't see, there are thousands of them. And when you use the knife, it actually puts them out of place. And then when you sharpen them, and when you sharpen the knife, it puts it back into place. Alright, so I'm just cutting these. And now I've got some sort of noodle-like pieces here. It's a little closer to fettuccine. I could slice it more, but I don't really want to spend all day with this. So that's good. So that's option number one. Now option number two is an easy one. Now I'll show you a couple different tips with this particular tool. First of all, if you're using the spiral slicer, and that's what this is the Joyce Chen spiral slicer. It costs about $25 if you have access to ordering from Amazon. That's a good option for it. Pros and cons about this. Pros, it works. It does what it's supposed to. It has two different options. One is to make something like old angel hair pasta, or essentially long julienne strips. And the other option is to make these sort of wavy pieces, which I prefer when I'm making my Hungarian cucumber salad. So it does some really cool things, and if you want to have as few pieces of equipment as possible, this is a good one. I prefer my Mandoline, but the Mandoline doesn't make the little curly Q pieces for the cucumber salad that I prefer. So it's flimsy. This thing is flimsy. You know, it's sort of a flimsy piece of plastic equipment. So keep that in mind. Alright, so there are a couple other things about that particular piece of equipment, which is that when you're using it, you have to be very exact about the way you put everything into it. And if you're not, then it screws up. But once you know the tricks of the trade, then it's no big deal. So the first trick, have very, very straight zucchini. If you have curved zucchini, it's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because you need the parallel strips, and it basically is going at a straight angle. So, well, I guess straight wouldn't be much of an angle. But, so if you have curved, it's not going to work. So we have 3 very straight zucchinis here. And then, once you have that, you need strips, or little chunks, that are no longer, or wider I should say, than 2 inches. So these are a great size. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And there's a little knob here that I'm going to press the zucchini piece down on. And then once I do that, there's some teeth here. I'm just going to close this up and press the teeth in so that they're going to catch the zucchini. Alright, so now that I've done that, let me just make sure. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, so I was just making sure that I had this on the correct setting so that it's making a pasta rather than a little curly cues. So it is making the angel hair pasta. I'm just going to go ahead and moving. Alright, so then at the end I have a little chunk that doesn't quite go, which is fine. It just goes in my soup bowl. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next chunk. These are very thin pieces, so they're a little bit harder to get them sealed up just right. Now, the thing is that we already actually cut off the sides of the zucchini because I was showing you how to do the option if you just were to use the vegetable peeler. So, if I hadn't done that, they wouldn't be so skinny and they would fit a little bit better. So just keep that in mind. Alright, you know what? This one is just not cooperating, so it's going to have to go in the soup bowl. I'm not going to spend all day with this thing, you know. Could you do this? The knife sharpener was I don't know if you could hear it, but I could. Alright, so here we go. This one is cooperating much better, which is good, right? Because I don't want to have a full soup bowl. I want to have more pasta than soup. Although my husband does like to make soup, so either way we're good. Alright, so in the end, you can see, and I'm just going to put this up so you can see it a little bit better. You can see that it's actually, you know, it's the curly cues, just like angel hair pasta. Much better than using the vegetable peeler, you can see that. So the texture changes, everything about it changes. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and peel the other zucchini. There we go, so just put that in my soup bowl. There we go. Put this in the trash, there's not much I can do with the ends. There we go. Alright. Okay, and we've got more for the soup. There we go. Alright. Okay. Okay. There we go. Alright, so we've got these two. And what we're going to do for this is, just get that out of the way. Oh, and you know what, let me just show you how this works. So I've got a Mandoline here, which is going to make the julienne-like slices, but it's not going to make it quite as curly as the pasta. So keep that in mind. So what I've got here is basically, there's a Mandoline without this little attachment. And the way it works is it's got a blade right here, and then what you do is you take your vegetable or whatever it is you're slicing and you just run it across here. And because the difference in size between the blade and this metal piece here, it cuts little slices for you, and the slices fall down to the bottom, which is great. So then you'll see on the side here, there's a little triangular shaped piece. And what you do is you take this little attachment, which fits just like a puzzle piece, you know, you just fit it right in. So it's like a triangle, and you just put it in, and then it locks. So what's going to happen is now, not only is it going to make the slices, it's going to cut the slices into little pieces. So it's going to be like long julienne strips. So you'll notice that when we were using the spiral slicer, that little machine I had a moment ago that was white and plastic, with that particular one I cut 3 equal pieces that were about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. We don't need to do that with the Mandoline. We're just going to put it, excuse me, we're going to just run it through because long slices are okay. Okay, so here we go. Now, with this, I'm going to cut the sides, but I'm not going to cut the middle. And the reason for that is that's where the seeds are. And if you use lots of the seeds, then what ends up happening is your pasta ends up being really watery. And it doesn't quite cut the long, thin strips in the way you'd want. Okay. Alright, so this is great. So this is going to go into our soup bowl. With that full zucchini, we got this entire thing right here of the pasta, our angel hair noodles. So the ingredients we have here, we have the sun-dried tomatoes, and we have dates. I have gone ahead and removed the pits. If you don't remove the pit, it ruins the whole recipe, so you don't want to forget to remove the pit. Now, sometimes I do it at the last minute, but it's a little bit better to do it at the beginning because then there's no way you can forget. So if you get into the habit of doing that, you'll never have the pit ruin everything. Alright, so these have been soaking. What I did was I took the sun-dried tomatoes and the dates together, and I just put them in a little bowl. I pushed them down pretty far, and then I put the filtered water just barely covering on top. They've expanded quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and put this straight into my food processor without the liquid. Now, the liquid is actually going to go into my soup bowl. Now, I don't have to have them minced because they're going to go in the food processor anyways. So for me, that's good. Okay, so I've got all my garlic there. I've got some olive oil. I'll just go ahead and pour that straight in. There we go. Alright. Now I already measured it out. I've got the salt and the cayenne. There we go. Boy, and touching that cayenne, same deal. You do not want to touch your eyeballs after that. Ooh-wee. Alright, so then 2 tablespoons of parsley. And honestly, I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to put about 2 tablespoons-ish parsley in here. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to need some tomatoes. So I could sit around and making them really small chunks, but that would be a big, fat waste of my time because the food processor is going to do most of the work for me. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do some bigger chunks. Just throw it in. That's it. No big thing. There we go. Alright, so here goes. Alright, there we go. Let's do one more try. Okay, that's perfect. It's really good. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do, let me first go ahead and pour this on. So I'm just going to pour this straight over my pasta. I'm going to go ahead and cut up a little bit more parsley. Sprinkle on the top. There we go. Our very healthy, non-bloating, none of that bad stuff pasta with marinara sauce. Nice and fresh, nice and tasty. Very, very good way to turn back the hands of time and enjoy it in the process. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I hope that you are going to try this. It's totally worth it. Thanks again for watching.